The children thought they were being abandoned. But what they didn't know is that the family's biggest secret was about to be revealed, and it would lead them back to San Diego, where it all began. Before we continue, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and comment where you're watching from. You won't want to miss what's coming next. In the next few minutes, secrets from the past begin to unravel, and you'll discover what was behind the abandonment and why the inheritance they left behind is more dangerous than anyone imagined. They could no longer bear the weight of an unbearable coexistence, of unfulfilled promises and buried feelings. But what they didn't know was that by abandoning them, they would be turning their backs on a powerful secret hidden for generations, and that would one day change their lives forever. An inheritance that none of the children could imagine was about to be revealed, and with it, a family mystery deeper than any of their grudges. My fingers tremble on the steering wheel as Richard accelerates down Highway 8, leaving San Diego behind us. In the rearview mirror, I watch Lucas and Mariana become two small figures on the sidewalk outside our apartment building. My heart breaks with every mile we put between us, but I can't stop. I can't turn back. Not when their lives depend on this. Helen, are you sure about this? Richard's voice is hoarse, heavy with pain he's been trying to hide for months. His knuckles are white from gripping the wheel, and I can see the tears he refuses to shed glistening in the corners of his eyes. I'm sure. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. It's the only way to protect them. I close my eyes and can still smell Mariana's hair when I hugged her for the last time last night. She was sleeping peacefully, unaware it would be our goodbye. I spent hours watching her angelic face, memorizing every detail, every freckle, every curved eyelash. Lucas was snoring in the next room, that same soft snore that used to comfort me when he was a baby, and I'd spend sleepless nights caring for him during his asthma attacks. 2 years. 2 years of pretending to be a cold, distant mother when all I wanted was to hold them, protect them, tell them how much I loved them. Lucas is 20 now, Mariana 18. They're adults, but to me, they'll always be my defenseless babies. The sun begins to set, painting the sky in orange tones that remind me of the sunsets we used to watch together on the porch when they were little. Before all this started, before the men in dark suits began showing up at our door, before the threats whispered over the phone in the early morning hours, before I discovered that Richard's past could destroy our children's future, "They're going to hate us forever," I whisper, my voice breaking. Richard pulls the car over at a deserted rest stop and pulls me into his arms. I cry like I haven't cried in years, all those repressed feelings finally finding an outlet. His tears mix with mine as we embrace with the desperation of two parents who just tore their own hearts from their chests. "They'll understand someday," he murmurs against my hair. "When they discover the truth about the company, about the money, about everything I've been keeping for them. They'll understand we did this out of love. What if they don't understand? What if they never forgive us?" He gently pulls me away and wipes my tears with his thumb. His brown eyes, the same ones Lucas inherited, are red from crying. "Then at least they'll be alive to hate us. And that's more than they deserve if they stay with us." We get back in the car in silence. With every mile we travel, I feel a piece of me staying behind on that road. I remember the morning Mariana was born, tiny and perfect in my arms, and how I promised never to let anything bad happen to her. I remember Lucas's first day of school, how he cried clinging to my skirt, and how I wanted to cry with him. Now they think we're monsters. They think we never love them. If only they knew how many nights I stayed awake, planning how to keep them safe. How many tears I shed in silence in the bathroom so they wouldn't see me cry. How many times I had to bite my tongue to keep from saying, "I love you," when all I wanted was to cover them with kisses and hugs. 2 years ago, when I discovered the truth about Richard, when I understood that our entire life had been built on a dangerous lie, when I realized that the only way to protect my children was to make them hate me enough to leave voluntarily, the phone rings and my heart races. Richard answers tensely. "Yes, they're gone," he says. A long pause. "No, they don't know anything about the company. Or about the investments." Another pause. "I understand." "Yes, I'll take care of the documents." He hangs up and looks at me with an expression I can't decipher. That was Dr. Patterson. He said the men were at the office yesterday looking for us. They know we have children. My blood freezes. Richard, what if they manage to track them down? They won't be able to. Lucas and Mariana are smart. They'll rent an apartment far from here. They'll use the money we left them. They'll start a new life away from all this. He takes my hand. And when everything passes, when the dust settles, we'll leave the letter with Patterson. They'll come back for the inheritance, and then they'll know the truth. Night falls completely as we reach our destination. A rented house in the mountains outside San Diego where we'll hide until it's safe. My last view of San Diego is the city lights twinkling in the distance like fallen stars. I don't know if I'll ever see my children again. I don't know if I'll ever be able to explain that every cruel word, every cold gesture, every moment of distance was a desperate act of a mother trying to save what she loved most in the world. But I know that tonight, somewhere, Lucas and Mariana are free. And that will have to be enough to keep my heart beating until we can find each other again. 15 days since I've seen my children's faces. I count each dawn in this rented house like an eternity. Richard tries to distract me with mountain hikes and card games, but nothing can fill the void that Lucas and Mariana left when they walked out of our lives. Helen, you need to eat something. Richard places a bowl of soup in front of me, but the smell makes me nauseous. I haven't been able to swallow anything for days. It's as if my body has forgotten how to function without their presence. I'm not hungry. They're okay. You know they are, do I? How can I know? We left enough money for them to support themselves for a few months, but what about after? What if they're scared? What if they're blaming themselves for something we did? What if they need me and I'm not there? I get up from the chair and go to the window overlooking the mountains. The landscape stretches infinitely, but all I see are my babies' faces. Mariana at 5, crying because she had nightmares, and how I'd take her to my bed and sing until she fell asleep. Lucas at 7, hurt after a fight at school, and how I cleaned his wounds so carefully while he told me what had happened. When did I stop comforting them? When did I stop singing to them? When did I become the cold woman they knew in the last 2 years? 2 years ago when I discovered the truth about Richard. When I understood that our entire life had been built on a dangerous lie. When I realized that the only way to protect my children was to make them hate me enough to leave voluntarily. The phone rings and my heart races. Richard answers quickly. Dr. Patterson? What happened? His voice becomes tense. Are you sure? When? I approach him, trying to hear the conversation. The lawyer is speaking rapidly on the other end, and I can hear the urgency in his voice even without distinguishing the words. I understand. Yes, we'll prepare. Richard hangs up and looks at me with a grave expression. Helen, they found where we are. The world collapses around me. The family's men? Patterson said they were at the courthouse this morning, asking questions about you, about me, about the company. They know we have children and want to find them. My legs fail and I need to lean against the wall. Richard, what if they've already found them? What if it's too late? He hugs me, but I can feel his body trembling too. It's not too late. It's never too late. Patterson will try to contact them discreetly. He'll make up a story about inheritance, something that will bring them back to San Diego without suspicion. And then? Then we'll tell the truth. The truth. This word has haunted me for 2 years. The truth is that Richard isn't just an accountant. The truth is that before he met me, he was a partner in an investment company that laundered money for one of the most dangerous families in San Diego. The truth is that when he decided to leave the scheme and report everything to the FBI, he became a target. The truth is that when I discovered they were after him, that they were threatening our family, I made the most difficult decision of my life. I began treating our children with calculated coldness. I created arguments. I said cruel things. I made them believe I no longer loved them, hoping they would understand the message and leave before it was too late. Helen, you saved our children, Richard whispers against my hair. When you started treating them coldly, when you created that distance, you saved them. They left because they couldn't stand to stay anymore, and that kept them alive. But at what cost? My tears fall like rain. They think I never loved them. They left hating their own mother. Night falls over the mountains like a black blanket. I sit on the house's porch and look at the stars. The same stars that shone over San Diego when my children were little, and I used to make up stories about each constellation. I remember the last conversation I had with Mariana before she left. She was in the kitchen, trying to talk to me about college, about dreams, about the future. And I coldly interrupted her, said she was a disappointment, that she would never amount to anything in life. I saw the pain spreading across her face like ink in water, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't show weakness. I couldn't let her know how much each cruel word was destroying me inside. "Mom," she had whispered, "why do you hate me so much?" And I answered with a bleeding heart, "Because you remind me of all my mistakes." The memory tears me apart. I pick up the phone and dial the number I've memorized, even knowing I won't have the courage to speak. I just want to hear her voice, know she's alive, that she's okay. The phone rings 4 times before a male voice answers. "Hello? It's Lucas, my boy. My first child." I hear his voice and it's like someone turned the sun on again. He sounds tired, but he's alive. He's okay. "Hello? Is anyone there?" I want to scream that it's me, that I'm his mother, that I never stopped loving him for a single second. I want to tell him everything, explain everything, beg for forgiveness. But I can't. It's still not safe. I hang up in silence and cry until I have no more tears. Somewhere, my children are trying to rebuild their lives, free from the danger that surrounded them. Somewhere they're safe because of the most painful choice I've ever made in my life. Now I can only pray that someday they'll be able to forgive me for loving them too much to keep them close. 3. Months have passed since we hid in the mountains, outside San Diego. Richard is different, thinner, paler, with a persistent cough that refuses to improve. The local doctors talk about stress, but I see something deeper in his eyes. It's guilt eating him from the inside, the weight of carrying secrets that destroyed our family. "Helen, I need to tell you something," he says on a cold July morning, while we're having coffee in the small kitchen of the rented house. Something I never had the courage to say. My stomach churns. What other secrets can there be? What other truths will add to the weight we already carry? "What is it, Richard?" He takes my hand with trembling fingers. "Do you remember when we met? At the business school?" "Of course I remember. You were in your senior year. I was a sophomore. It was 2001. I lied about my age. And about many other things." He takes a deep breath. "I wasn't at the university as a regular student. I was there as part of an FBI operation. The world stops around me." "What are you saying?" "I was an undercover agent, Helen, investigating a money laundering network that ran through the university. Professors, staff, some students, all involved in financial schemes for criminal organizations." I get up from the chair so quickly that it falls backwards. "Are you telling me our entire life was based on a lie? That you pretended to be a college student to meet me?" "No!" He gets up too, desperate. "At first, yes, you were part of the investigation. Some professors were using you as an intermediary without you knowing. But when I fell in love with you, when I realized you were innocent in all this, I changed my entire life." The tears start falling before I can control them. "Changed how?" "I left the FBI. I created a new identity. The Richard Silva accountant you knew never officially existed. I was Agent Robert Santos, specialist in financial crimes." "Santos? Like our lawyer?" "He was my supervisor at the time. The only person who knew the truth about my new life. When you got pregnant with Lucas, I asked him to help me completely erase my past as a police officer." I sit back down, trying to process everything he's telling me. "The man I married, the father of my children, doesn't even legally exist. Our entire life was built on false documents and invented identities. Why are you telling me this now?" "Because they found out. The Morrison family found out who I really was. It's not just about money laundering, Helen. I was the agent responsible for the operation that arrested the family patriarch 15 years ago. They're not looking for me just to recover money, but for revenge." The phone rings, interrupting our conversation. Richard answers with shaking hands. "Santos?" "Yes, she knows now." A long pause. "What? Are you sure?" His voice goes white. "I understand." "Yes, we'll prepare." He hangs up and looks at me with an expression of absolute terror. "What was it?" "They found Lucas and Mariana. My world completely collapses." "How? Where?" "They're living in a boarding house in Riverside. Santos said the family's men were there today, asking about 2 young people. They offered money to other residents for information. I get up from the chair like an automaton and start walking around the house. My children, my babies. After 3 months of hiding, they had finally found a routine, a place that seemed safe. And now, Richard, we need to warn them. Santos is already on his way to Riverside. He'll make up a story about inheritance to bring them back to San Diego without scaring them. What if it's too late? What if they already... No, his voice is firm, determined. I won't let them hurt our children. Not after everything we've done to protect them. He goes to the bedroom and comes back with a small suitcase. Inside are documents, money, and a gun I've never seen before. Helen, I need you to go to Los Angeles. I have a contact there, another ex-agent who can protect you. I won't leave you. You will, because if something happens to me, someone needs to be alive to explain the truth to Lucas and Mariana. I take his hand and squeeze it tightly. Let's leave together, far away. We'll change countries, start all over again. It's too late for that. They'll never stop looking for us. The only way to end this is by facing it. That afternoon, we say goodbye at the Greyhound station. It's the second time in 3 months that I'm separating from someone I love without knowing if I'll see them again. Richard hugs me with desperate force. If something goes wrong, he whispers, tell them everything. About who I really was, about why we did this, about how much we loved them. Nothing will go wrong. Promise? I promise. But as the bus pulls away from the station, carrying me to Los Angeles, I know I'm lying. I can feel that our story is coming to an end, that the secrets are finally coming to light in a way that could destroy everything that's left of our family. I look out the window and see the mountains disappearing in the distance. Somewhere, Richard is returning to San Diego to face ghosts from the past. Somewhere, my children are being called back home without knowing they're walking straight into danger. And I'm running away once more, carrying the weight of more secrets, more lies, more painful truths that I may never be able to share. The only certainty I have is that after tonight, our family will never be the same again. A week in Los Angeles has passed like an eternity. Roberto Santos's apartment, yes, our lawyer has the same name as Richard's former supervisor, and now I understand why, is in Santa Monica with a view of the ocean. It should be calming, but each wave that breaks on the beach sounds like a countdown to a tragedy I cannot prevent. Roberto is a 50-year-old man, graying hair, tired eyes of someone who has seen too much. A former federal agent like Richard, he now works as a private attorney, helping people restart their lives with new identities. Helen, I managed to speak with Patterson in San Diego, he says, entering the room with the phone in his hand. Lucas and Mariana have arrived in the city. They're at his office now. My heart races. Are they okay? They're scared, confused, but okay. Patterson made up a story about an inheritance left by a distant uncle. He said they needed to come back to sign papers. And Richard? The silence that follows tells me everything. Roberto sits next to me on the couch and takes my hand. Helen, I need to prepare you for difficult news. I already know before he even speaks. I feel it in my gut, in the way the air becomes heavier, how the sound of the ocean outside seems more distant. He died, didn't he? Last night, in the hotel where he was staying. The doctors said it was a heart attack, but Roberto hesitates. There were signs it wasn't natural. The tears come like an avalanche. Richard, my Richard. The man I loved for 19 years, who gave me 2 beautiful children, who sacrificed everything to protect us. He died alone in a hotel room, carrying secrets that now only I know. The family's men? Probably. But there's no way to prove it. Officially, it was natural death. I cry until I have no more tears. Roberto brings me tea, blankets, words of comfort, but nothing can fill the void that opened in my chest. I lost my husband. My children lost their father without even knowing he had died trying to protect them. Helen, Lucas, and Mariana will find out about his death today. Patterson will tell them when they return to the office. I need to be there. It's very dangerous. If the Morrison family finds out where you are, I don't care about the danger. I get up from the couch with a determination I didn't know I still possessed. My children just lost their father. I won't leave them alone at this moment. Roberto looks at me for a long moment, then sighs. All right, but we'll do this carefully, and I'm going with you. The trip back to San Diego takes 6 hours by bus. With each mile, I imagine how it will be to reunite with Lucas and Mariana. How will I explain the last 3 months? How will I tell them about their father's death? How will I make them understand that everything we did was out of love? We arrive in San Diego at dusk. Patterson's office is in a commercial building in Hillcrest, surrounded by cafes and shops that are already closing. The 10th floor windows are lit. They're still up there, says Roberto. We go up in silence. Each floor we pass is like an eternity. On the 10th, the office door is ajar. I hear voices coming from inside. One is Lucas, the other is Mariana. They're discussing something, their voices heavy with confusion and pain. I take a deep breath and push the door. The first thing I see is Patterson sitting behind his desk with a somber expression. The second are my children, with their backs to me, sitting in chairs in front of the desk. Lucas has grown. He's taller, broader. Mariana has longer hair, is thinner. I don't understand why he called us back if he wasn't even alive to see us, Lucas is saying. Maybe because he had something important to leave us. Mariana responds. Patterson sees me first. His eyes widen slightly, but he maintains his composure. Actually, he says, there's someone here who can explain better than I can. Lucas and Mariana turn around slowly. For an eternal moment, we just look at each other. My children, now adults, observe me as if they're seeing a ghost. Mariana gets up first, her hands trembling. Mom! Her voice is a whisper. You're here. I am, my daughter. Lucas gets up too, but doesn't approach. His eyes, so similar to his father's, are full of distrust. Where were you? Where were you both all these months, hiding, trying to protect you? Protect from what? Mariana's voice is loaded with pain. Mom, what's happening? Why did Dad die? Why did you abandon us? I look at Patterson, who makes an encouraging gesture. I take a deep breath and prepare to tell the most painful truth of my life. Sit down, I say calmly. I need to tell you about the man you thought you knew as your father, and about why I had to pretend I didn't love you to save you. Lucas crosses his arms defensively. Pretend? Every cruel word I said in the last 2 years. Every cold gesture. Every moment I seemed to reject you. It was all pretense. It was all to make you leave before you discovered who your father really was. Mariana sits down slowly. Who was he? And then I tell everything. About Richard being an undercover federal agent. About our entire life being based on a false identity. About the Morrison family and their thirst for revenge. About how I discovered they were being watched and made the decision to push them away through calculated cruelty. When I finish, the silence in the office is deafening. Lucas is pale, his hands clenched into fists. Mariana cries silently, tears streaming down her face without her trying to wipe them. So, Lucas finally says, our entire life was a lie. No, I respond firmly. The love we felt for each other was real. The affection, the laughter, the happy moments, all of that was true. The lies were just to protect that truth. Mariana looks at me with eyes swollen from crying. Mom, I thought you hated me. I thought I had done something terrible for you to reject me like that. My heart breaks once more. I get up from the chair and approach her slowly, as if she were a wounded animal that might run away at any moment. My daughter, I whisper, there's nothing in this world that could make me stop loving you. Nothing. She gets up and for a moment hesitates. Then she throws herself into my arms like she used to when she was little. I hug her with all the strength I have, feeling the smell of her hair, the warmth of her body, the reality that she's alive and well. Lucas continues standing, watching our reunion with an indecipherable expression. I extend my free arm to him, a silent invitation. For long seconds, he just looks at me. Then slowly, he approaches and joins our embrace. We stay like this for several minutes, a destroyed family trying to rebuild itself in the ruins of so many secrets. When we finally separate, Patterson clears his throat discreetly. There's one more thing you need to know, he says, about the inheritance your father left you. Patterson opens a drawer in his desk and removes a thick folder. Before he died, Richard gave me this personally. These are documents about a company he created 15 years ago. What company? Asked Lucas. Morrison and Associates. The name echoes in the office like a gunshot. Mariana squeezes my hand. Morrison. Like the family that was after him? Exactly. Richard used a very intelligent strategy. Instead of simply hiding from the Morrison family, he created a shell company with their name. During all these years, he laundered the money he had confiscated during police operations, transforming it into legal investments. Patterson spreads documents across the table. Their contracts, bank statements, property deeds. The numbers are impressive. The company has an investment portfolio valued at $12 million. Commercial real estate, stocks, financial applications. And everything is in both your names. Lucas picks up one of the bank statements with trembling hands. 12 million? That's impossible. It's real, Patterson confirms. Your father spent 15 years transforming dirty money into clean assets. Every cent of this money has legal origin now. It's his inheritance for you. Mariana looks at me with wide eyes. Mom, did you know about this? No, I answer honestly. I knew Richard had secrets about money, but I never imagined it was so much. Or that he had created a company. Roberto, who had remained silent until now, approaches the table. Richard was very intelligent. He used the criminal family's name as protection. Who would suspect that a company called Morrison & Associates was actually operated by the Morrison family's victim? But doesn't that make everything even more dangerous? Asks Lucas. If they discover that Dad created a company using their name, that's where the genius part of the plan comes in, explains Patterson. The company no longer officially exists. Richard dissolved it before he died and transferred all assets directly to you. Now you're just two young people who received an inheritance. There's no more connection to the Morrison family. The silence that follows is charged with conflicting emotions. I look at my children trying to process everything they're discovering. In a matter of hours, they learned that their father died, that our family lived a lie, and that they inherited a fortune. What should we do? Mariana finally asks. That's your decision, Roberto responds. You can keep the investments, use the money to start a new life. Or you can get rid of everything and start from scratch. Lucas gets up and walks to the window. Outside, San Diego shines like a sea of lights. I don't want money that could put us in danger. But we also don't want to waste Dad's sacrifice, adds Mariana. He worked 15 years to leave us this. I approach my children. Whatever decision you make, I'll be by your side. What's important is that we're together again. Lucas turns to me. Mom, is it still dangerous? Could the Morrison family still persecute us? Patterson answers before me. After Richard's death, they got what they wanted. Revenge. Their interest was personal, not financial. With him dead, you no longer represent a threat. But we can't be absolutely certain, adds Roberto. Families like that hold grudges for generations. Mariana takes my hand. Mom, if we keep the money, can we move? Leave San Diego? We can go wherever you want. And if we give up everything? We can also start over, together. The money doesn't matter. You matter. Lucas returns to join us. I have an idea. What if we used part of the money to establish ourselves somewhere else and donated the rest? To institutions that help families at risk? The suggestion hangs in the air like a possibility of redemption. Mariana smiles for the first time since they arrived at the office. It would be a way to honor Dad's memory, she says. Transform something that was born from pain into something that can help other people. I look at my children with pride. Even after everything they've been through, they can still think of others. Richard would be proud of their choice. So it's decided, says Patterson. I'll prepare the documents for the partial transfer of assets. How much do you want to keep for yourselves? Enough to buy a simple house and support ourselves while we rebuild our lives, Lucas responds. Maybe 3 million. The rest can be donated. I agree, says Mariana. Patterson makes notes on a pad. It will take a few weeks to process everything. Until then, I suggest you stay somewhere safe. You can stay with me in Los Angeles, Roberto offers. I have a large apartment and it would be safer until we resolve everything. I look at my children, waiting for their response. Lucas and Mariana look at each other and nod. Thank you, says Lucas. I think we really need to get out of San Diego for a while. 2 hours later, we're preparing to leave the office. Patterson gives us copies of all the important documents and promises to stay in touch throughout the process. Roberto will accompany us back to Los Angeles. On the sidewalk, while we wait for the taxi, Mariana hugs me again. Mom, I'm sorry for doubting you, for thinking you didn't love me. You have nothing to be sorry for. I'm the one who asks for forgiveness for making you go through that. Lucas joins our embrace. Are we going to be okay? He asks. Is our family going to be okay? We will, I answer with conviction. We're going to be more than okay. We're going to be happy. The taxi arrives and we get in heading to the bus station. During the trip, I look out the window at the city where my children grew up, where I met Richard, where we built a family based on true love, even when that love had to hide behind necessary lies. Tomorrow we'll be in Los Angeles, starting a new chapter of our lives. But today, for the first time in 3 months, I'm a complete mother again. Today, my family is reunited, and that's all I ever wanted. 3 weeks in Los Angeles, and our life already seems completely different. Roberto's apartment in Santa Monica has become our temporary refuge. A place where we can finally be a family without fear, without secrets, without the need to constantly look over our shoulders. Lucas woke up early today and went for a walk on the beach. I find him on the balcony when I return from the grocery store, watching the waves break on the sand. His eyes no longer have that hardness they carried during the last months. How are you feeling? I ask, sitting next to him. Strange, he answers honestly. I'm still processing everything. It's like I discovered I'm a completely different person from who I thought I was. You haven't changed, my son. You've always been brave, intelligent, caring. These things didn't change just because you discovered your father had secrets. He looks at me with the eyes he inherited from Richard. Mom, can I ask you something? Did you ever doubt if you were doing the right thing? When you decided to push us away, the question hits me right in the heart. Every day, every night, every time I saw the pain on your face, on Mariana's face, I wondered if there was a better way. And was there? I don't know. But I know that if I had to choose again, I would do the same thing. Because you're alive. You're here with me. Mariana appears on the balcony carrying a breakfast tray. She's also different, lighter, more smiling. The shadow of pain she carried in her eyes is slowly disappearing. Roberto called, she says, serving coffee for the 3 of us. The donation papers are almost ready. Next week we can finalize everything. And then? Asks Lucas. Then we'll look for our new house, I respond. Roberto found some options in Orange County. Simple houses, quiet neighborhoods, away from all this confusion. You know what I want? Says Mariana, biting into a bagel. I want a garden, a big garden where we can plant flowers like Dad used to do at home. And I want an office, adds Lucas. I'm thinking about going back to school. Maybe business administration like Dad said he studied. We smile together. It's the first time in months that we talk about future plans, about dreams, about possibilities. For so long, our life was just about survival, about hiding, about protecting each other. Now we can think about really living. Mom, says Mariana after a moment, I was thinking, can we visit Dad's grave before we move permanently? My heart tightens. Richard was buried in San Diego in a simple ceremony, only me, Patterson, and Roberto present. My children didn't even know about the funeral. Of course we can. You need to say goodbye to him, and we need to thank him, adds Lucas, for everything he did to protect us. In the afternoon, we walk along Santa Monica Beach. It's a surreal experience. For the first time in years, I can walk freely with my children without worrying about who might be watching us. Mariana buys ice cream, Lucas plays volleyball with some kids on the beach, and I just watch, recording every moment in my memory. You know I love you both, right? I say when we sit on the sand to watch the sunset. We know, they respond in unison, and we start laughing. It's a light, genuine laugh, freed from all the pain and tension we carried for so long. It's the laughter of a family that can finally be happy without guilt. That night, while my children sleep, I stay on the balcony writing a letter to Richard. It's something I started doing every night since we arrived in Los Angeles, a way to process everything that happened, to connect with him even after death. My love, I write, today was a good day. Lucas and Mariana are healing. They're starting to dream again. You would be proud to see how they've grown, how they became strong and generous despite everything they went through. I pause to look at the ocean. The city lights reflect on the water like fallen stars. They want to visit your grave. They want to say goodbye to you properly. And I want to too. I want to tell you personally that you were the best father and husband you could have been, even with all the secrets. especially because of all the sacrifices. A tear falls on the paper, blurring the ink. But I continue writing. Tomorrow we'll start looking for our new home. It won't be a mansion, it won't be luxurious, but it will be ours. It will be a place where your children can be happy, where we can honor your memory by living the lives you dreamed for us. I finish the letter and fold it carefully. In a drawer in my room, I have all the letters I've written to Richard since his death. Someday, maybe, I'll show them to Lucas and Mariana, so they understand how I processed our pain, how I found strength to move forward. But today, it's enough to know that we're a family again. That love conquered fear, that Richard's sacrifices weren't in vain. We returned to San Diego on a September morning, almost 4 months after we fled for the first time. The city hasn't changed, but we have changed. We're a different family now, stronger, more united, more aware of the value of what we have. Forest Lawn Memorial Park is quiet when we arrive. Roberto accompanies us, but keeps a respectful distance while we walk among the graves looking for Richard's. When we finally find it, my heart tightens. It's a simple headstone, discreet. Just Richard Silva, beloved father and husband, 1975-2024. It doesn't mention that he was a hero, that he sacrificed everything for his family, that he died protecting those he loved most. Lucas is the first to kneel. His hands tremble when he touches the cold stone. "Hi, Dad," he whispers. "I took a while to come, but I'm here now." Mariana joins him, placing flowers we bought at the cemetery entrance. They're red roses, Richard's favorites. "Dad," she says with a choked voice, "I want you to know that we understand everything now. We understand why you did what you did, and we're not angry anymore." I stand behind them, watching my children say goodbye to the father they could never fully know in life. The tears stream down my face, but they're not just tears of sadness. They're tears of relief, gratitude, love. "Dad," continues Lucas, "I want you to know that I'm going to take care of Mom and Mariana. I'm going to be the man of the family now. I'm going to make you proud of me, and I'm going to make Mom happy," adds Mariana. "I'm going to be the daughter you always dreamed I would be. I can't remain just watching anymore." I kneel between my children and place my hands on the headstone. "Richard," I say out loud, "I brought our children to say goodbye to you. They know now who you really were. They know you were a hero. They know you died out of love for them." The wind blows gently among the cemetery trees, carrying the scent of flowers. For a moment, I have the sensation that Richard is there with us, that he can hear us. "Dad," Lucas suddenly says, "remember when I was little and afraid of the dark? You used to say that heroes aren't those who don't feel fear, but those who do what's right, even when afraid. Now I understand you were talking about yourself," adds Mariana. We stay there for almost an hour, sharing memories, telling Richard about our plans for the future, promising that we'll honor his memory by living full and happy lives. When we finally get up to leave, Lucas takes something from his pocket. It's a photo of us, the 4 of us together at Mariana's birthday party 3 years ago. We were happy then, even without knowing about the dangers that surrounded us. "So you won't be alone," he says, placing the photo on the headstone. We leave the cemetery holding hands. At the entrance, Roberto waits for us with a solemn expression. "How are you?" he asks. "Better," I respond. "It was something we needed to do. And now?" "Now we're going home," says Mariana. "To our new home." On the way to the bus station, we pass by our old house. It's empty, with a "for rent" sign in front. The garden that Richard cared for so lovingly is overgrown, the flowers withered. "Can I go in just for a minute?" asks Lucas. Roberto speaks with the building manager and gets permission for a quick visit. We go up to the apartment where we lived for almost 15 years. It's empty, but I can still smell our lives there. Morning coffee, family dinner, laughter on movie nights. Mariana goes to her room and stands at the door. "I remember all the nights I cried here, thinking you didn't love me. And I remember all the times I passed by this door wanting to go in, wanting to comfort you, but not being able to," I respond. Lucas walks through the empty living room. "Dad used to sit in that armchair to read the newspaper, and always complained that the coffee was too weak," adds Mariana, smiling through her tears. We spend a few minutes absorbing the memories, saying silent goodbye to the place where we were a happy family for the first time. Then we close the door and go down. Ready, I say when we reach the sidewalk. Now we can really move forward. On the bus back to Los Angeles, my children sleep leaning against each other like they used to when they were little. I look at them and feel deep peace. We went through so much, lost so much, suffered in ways I never imagined possible. But we survived. More than that, we remained united. The love that Richard and I felt for them was stronger than all the secrets, all the lies, all the circumstances that tried to separate us. When we arrive in Los Angeles, it's night. The city lights shine like an invitation to start over. Roberto takes us straight to Orange County, where a small and cozy house awaits us. It has 3 bedrooms, a backyard garden, and a view of the hills. It's perfect, says Mariana when we enter. It's ours, adds Lucas. That night we have our first meal in the new house. It's simple, pizza we ordered for delivery, but it's the first dinner we have as a reunited family in months. Can I propose a toast? Asks Lucas, raising his soda glass. Of course. To Dad, who taught us that loving sometimes means making difficult decisions. To Mom, who had the courage to push us away to protect us. And to us, who were strong enough to find our way back to each other. To love that conquers everything, adds Mariana. To our family, I complete. We toast and, for the first time in a long time, the future seems full of possibilities instead of fears. The garden of our house in Orange County is blooming. The red roses we planted in Richard's memory are vibrant and lush. The blue hydrangeas that Mariana chose create a beautiful contrast with the green grass. Lucas built a small wooden deck where we have breakfast every morning, watching the hills in the distance. Today is a special day. It's been exactly 1 year since Richard died, and 6 months since we moved here. We decided it was time to share our story. Mom, are you sure you want to do this? Asks Mariana, adjusting the camera that Lucas borrowed from college. She's studying business administration at UC Irvine, discovered she has the same talent for numbers that her father had. I'm sure, I respond. If our story can help a family going through something similar, it's worth it. Lucas, who is studying psychology and works part-time at an NGO that serves families at risk, organizes the notes we made together. Remember what we talked about? We'll tell our truth, but without exposing details that could put other people in danger. During the last months, we decided we wanted to transform our pain into purpose. With part of the money we kept from the inheritance, we created a small foundation that helps families who need to hide from situations of violence or threats. We've already managed to help 12 families restart their lives. Ready? Asks Lucas, pointing the camera at me. I take a deep breath and start telling our story. I talk about the 2 most difficult years of my life, when I had to pretend I didn't love my children to save them. I talk about Richard and his secrets, about the impossible choices we had to make, about how love sometimes disguises itself as cruelty when it's the only way to protect those we love most. Mariana and Lucas take turns telling their perspectives. How they felt when they thought they were being rejected, how they discovered the truth, how they learned to forgive and rebuild our family. The most important thing we learned, says Lucas to the camera, is that true love isn't just joy and happy moments. Sometimes it's sacrifice, sometimes it's pain, sometimes it means making decisions that break your own heart to protect who you love. And that family isn't defined by the absence of problems, adds Mariana, but by the willingness to face those problems together. When we finish recording, 3 hours later, we feel exhausted but relieved. Telling our story was cathartic, a way to officialize our healing. What are we going to do with the video? Asks Mariana. We'll post it on the Foundation's YouTube channel, responds Lucas. And if it goes viral, if it helps other people, great. If not, at least we've recorded our journey. That night, while we edit the video together, I reflect on how our life has changed. We're not rich. We kept just enough to live comfortably. We're not famous or important, but we're a family. A real family built on difficult truths and brave choices. Mom, says Mariana while adding music to the video, do you think Dad would be proud of us? I'm sure he would be, I respond without hesitation. You've become exactly what he dreamed. Strong, compassionate people who use their pain to help others. And you, Mom, adds Lucas, became the mother you always were, but had to hide for a while. We smile together. It's true. I'm the mother I always wanted to be. I can hug my children without fear. I can say I love them as many times as I want. I can be present in their lives without worrying if that puts them in danger. The next morning, we post the video. In the first hours, only a few friends watch and comment. But then slowly, the numbers start to rise. 100 views, 1,000, 10,000 by the end of the week. The video has over 500,000 views and hundreds of comments, from people sharing their own stories of families separated by difficult circumstances. My mother also had to pretend she didn't love me to protect me from a violent father, writes a young woman. Now I understand she did it out of love. I'm a father going through a similar situation, comments another. Thank you for showing me that sometimes protecting means staying away. Hundreds of messages like these arrive every day. We realize that our story touched something universal, the dilemma of parents who need to choose between being present and keeping their children safe. Mom, says Lucas one morning, showing his phone, NBC wants to do a story about us, and CNN too, adds Mariana. And there's a producer who wants to turn our story into a series. I look at my children, now young adults capable of making their own decisions. What do you think? I think we should accept, says Mariana. The more people hear our story, the more families we can help. I agree, says Lucas, but with one condition: any money that comes from this goes to the foundation. I agree proudly. My children have become people who always think about how they can help others, even when they have the opportunity to get rich. 3 months later, our story is on the cover of People magazine. The documentary based on our lives is being produced by one of the biggest production companies in the country. We receive invitations to speak at universities, at family events, at public safety conferences. But what makes me most proud is the foundation. We've already helped more than 50 families restart their lives. We have volunteer psychologists, lawyers who work pro bono, a network of support houses in 6 states. You know what's funny? Says Mariana one morning, while we water the garden together. For so long we had to hide, keep secrets. Now our life is completely public. But this time by our choice, I respond, to help other people. Do you think Dad imagined our story would have this impact? I look at the red roses we planted in Richard's memory. They're more beautiful than ever, as if he were taking care of them from heaven. I think he knew that, no matter what happened, the love we felt for each other would find a way to make a difference in the world. 2 years after we published our story, I'm in the audience at UCLA's auditorium watching Lucas receive his psychology degree. Mariana is next to me, 6 months pregnant with the first grandchild that Richard will never meet, but who will grow up hearing stories about their grandfather hero. I'm so proud, I whisper when Lucas goes up on stage. Dad would be too, responds Mariana, caressing her belly. After graduation, we go to dinner at a simple restaurant in Beverly Hills. It's our tradition. Whenever there's something important to celebrate, we go back to Los Angeles where we rebuilt our family. Mom, says Lucas, still wearing his cap and gown, I want to tell you something. I received a proposal to work at a family crisis center in Denver. It's an incredible opportunity. My first instinct is panic. My son moving far away, after everything we went through to stay together? But then I look at his radiant face and understand that this is the natural continuation of our journey. Is this what you want? I ask. It's what I need to do, he responds. Our story showed me that there are thousands of families going through situations similar to ours. I want to help. Then you have our blessing, says Mariana before I can respond. And our foundation can open a branch in Denver. I smile through the tears. My children have grown and become people who dedicate their lives to transforming their pain into healing for others. It's the best legacy that Richard and I could have left. And you, Mariana? I ask. What are your plans after the baby is born? I want to expand the foundation to other countries, she responds, especially Mexico and Central America, where there are many families who need to restart their lives. That night, in our hotel room, I write another letter to Richard. It's something I still do weekly. a way to keep him present in our lives. My love, I write. Today, Lucas graduated. He's going to work helping families like ours. Mariana is pregnant and wants to take our mission to other countries. They've become extraordinary people, and I know you had a part in that. I pause to look at the ocean through the window. The lights of ships blink on the horizon like low stars. You know what moves me most? It's that they didn't choose these careers despite what we went through, but because of what we went through. Our pain became their purpose. Our suffering became the source of their compassion. A tear falls on the paper, but I continue writing. The documentary about our life will premiere next month. It's already being sold to 15 countries. Our story will reach millions of people. Imagine how many families can be helped because you had the courage to make the right choices, even when they hurt. I finish the letter and keep it with all the others. There are more than 300 letters now. A one-sided correspondence that helped me process our journey and keep Richard alive in our hearts. The next month, the premiere of the documentary, We Left Our Children Behind, A Story of Love and Sacrifice, takes place at the Los Angeles Film Festival. The theater is packed. Journalists, families we've helped through the foundation, social work professionals. When the lights dim and our story begins to unfold on the big screen, I feel Mariana's hand squeeze mine. Lucas is on the other side, and I can feel his emotion even in the dark. Seeing our pain transformed into art, into something that can touch and heal other people, is a surreal experience. In the film, actors interpret our family, but the real interviews interspersed show our true faces, our authentic tears, our journey of destruction and reconstruction. When the film ends, the theater explodes in applause. People cry, others stand up, many come to congratulate us. A woman approaches with eyes swollen from crying. "Thank you," she whispers. 2 years ago, I had to send my son to live with his grandmother because my ex-husband was threatening to kill us. He thinks I don't love him anymore. Your film gave me courage to explain the truth to him, and I finally understood my mother, says a young man. She also had to push me away when I was a child. I thought she didn't want me. Now I'm going to look for her to apologize. Stories like these repeat throughout the night. We realize that our experience, however unique it seemed, actually reflects dilemmas that thousands of families face. The impossible choice between being present and keeping children safe. 3 months later, I'm in the maternity ward holding my first granddaughter. She's a small and perfect baby with brown eyes that seem to look straight into your soul. Mariana decides to call her Hope, a name that represents everything our family has become. "Look here, Grandpa," I whisper to the baby, looking at a photo of Richard that Mariana brought to the hospital. "This is your granddaughter. She'll grow up hearing stories about how you saved our family." Lucas arrives from Denver to meet his niece. He's different, more mature, more confident. Working with families at risk has transformed him. "Mom," he says while holding Hope, "I want to tell you about a family I helped last week." A woman had to pretend she rejected her children to protect them from drug dealers. When I told her our story, she cried and said she finally felt understood. "That's what Dad wanted," responds Mariana, "for our pain to serve something greater." A year later, the foundation already operates in 8 countries. The documentary won international awards and was shown in more than 30 countries. We receive letters from families around the world telling how our story helped them reconcile or understand painful decisions they had to make. But what moves me most isn't the awards or recognition. It's the fact that on any given morning, I can have coffee with my children and my granddaughter in our garden, watching Richard's roses bloom, knowing that we're a complete and happy family. "Mom," says Mariana on one of these mornings, "do you think if you could go back in time, you would do everything differently?" The question makes me reflect for a long moment. All the nights of crying, all the days pretending coldness, all the suffering we caused each other. "No," I finally respond. "Because if we had done differently, maybe we wouldn't be here today. Maybe you wouldn't be the compassionate people you became. Maybe our story couldn't help so many other families." "Do you think Dad would agree?" asks Lucas. I look at the red roses swaying gently in the morning breeze and smile. I think he would be proud to see that his sacrifice wasn't in vain, that the love we felt for each other was stronger than all the circumstances that tried to separate us. Hope wakes up in Mariana's lap and smiles, that first conscious smile that melts any grandmother's heart. In this moment, surrounded by my family and the garden we built together, I understand that this is Richard's true inheritance. It's not the money he left, not the properties or investments. It's the family he helped create. A family that learned that true love sometimes means sacrifice, that protection sometimes looks like rejection, and that the most precious thing we have are the bonds that unite us. 5 years have passed since we first published our story. I'm sitting on the porch of our house in Orange County, watching Lucas play with Hope in the garden. She's 4 years old now and is a smart and loving girl who loves hearing stories about the grandfather she never met. "Grandma," she shouts, running to me with a bouquet of flowers she picked in the garden. "These are for Grandpa Richard." "They're beautiful, my love. He would love them." Mariana comes out of the house carrying a suitcase. She's preparing for a 2-week trip to Colombia, where she'll inaugurate our 5th international branch of the foundation. "Mom, are you sure you don't want to come with me?" she asks. "No, dear. I prefer to stay here with Hope. You two can handle the project on your own now." And it's true. My children have grown and become capable leaders who can carry our mission forward. The foundation has already helped more than 1,000 families in 12 countries. The documentary has been translated into 15 languages. Our story inspired government family protection programs in 3 countries. But for me, the greatest success is this simple moment, being here with my granddaughter. Seeing my children follow their own paths, knowing that we're a family united by true love. "Hope," I call the girl, "want to hear a story about your grandfather?" She runs to me and settles in my lap, like Mariana used to do when she was little. "Once upon a time there was a very brave man," I begin, "who loved his family so much that he was willing to make any sacrifice to protect them." While I tell the story to my granddaughter, I see Lucas and Mariana saying goodbye. They hug me with the same affection as always, but now there's a maturity in them, a confidence that our family survived the worst and can face anything. "Take care of Grandma for me," says Mariana to Hope, "and tell me everything you did when I get back," adds Lucas. When they leave, I'm alone with Hope in the garden. It's a good silence, peaceful, full of possibilities. The girl plays among the flowers while I watch the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. "Grandma," Hope suddenly says, "is Grandpa Richard here?" The question surprises me. "Why do you ask that, my love?" "Because I feel him here," she responds with the honest simplicity of children. "Especially when you tell stories about him." Tears begin to flow down my face, but they're tears of gratitude. "Yes, my love, he's here. He'll always be here." That night, after putting Hope to bed, I sit on the porch to write another letter to Richard. There are so many letters now that I've lost count, but each one still brings me peace and connection with him. "My love," I write, "our granddaughter asked today if you were here with us. And I realize that yes, you are. You're in Lucas's smile when he helps a family. You're in Mariana's determination when she fights for justice. You're in Hope's curiosity when she wants to know about her hero grandfather." I pause to look at the stars. The night is clear, and I can see the constellation we always called our family when the children were little. You're in the values we passed to them, in the choices they make every day, in the compassion they show for other families going through what we went through. You're alive in every life we touch through our story. I finish the letter and keep it with all the others. Tomorrow is Saturday, and Hope and I will visit the botanical garden. Then we'll make cookies and watch cartoons. They're simple moments, but they're everything Richard always wanted for our family: peace, security, love. On Sunday, I receive a call from a journalist in Japan. Our story reached there and is inspiring changes in family protection legislation. On Monday, a Hollywood producer calls interested in making a movie based on the documentary. On Tuesday, I receive a letter from a mother in Syria who managed to reunite with her children after watching our film. Our story continues touching lives around the world. But for me, what matters is that it began and ends with love. Love that was strong enough to survive separation. Love that was brave enough to disguise itself as cruelty when necessary. Love that was persistent enough to find a way back. At night, when I put Hope to bed, she asks me the same question she asks every night. "Grandma, Tell me again how you and Grandpa Richard saved the family." And I tell her. I tell her about two parents who loved their children so much that they were willing to break their own hearts to keep them safe. I tell her about a family that got lost to find itself, that fell apart to rebuild itself stronger. I tell her about the power of true love, the kind that never gives up, even when everything seems lost. When hope falls asleep, I go to the window and look at the garden where Richard's roses continue to bloom. Tomorrow will be a new day, full of possibilities to help other families, to spread love, to honor the memory of the man who taught me that sometimes protecting means staying away. Our story doesn't have an ending because true love doesn't end. It transforms, multiplies, spreads. It lives in the people we touch, in the lives we change, in the hearts we heal. And as long as there are families in the world who need to remember that love is stronger than any circumstance, our story will continue being told, forever and always. Because in the end, love is all we have, and all we need. If you've made it this far on this journey with us, I hope our story has touched your heart in some way. I hope it reminded you of the power of family love, the importance of forgiveness, the strength we find when we face the truth together. If our story resonated with you, share in the comments how it affected you. Leave your like if you felt something special. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that celebrate the strength of human love. And share with someone who needs to be reminded that no matter how dark the night, dawn always comes for those who don't give up on loving. And if you're going through a difficult situation with your family, remember, true love finds a way. It may take time, it may hurt, it may seem impossible sometimes. But love always finds a way, because in the end, we're all just people trying to protect those we love in the best way we know how. And that, by itself, is enough. Thank you for listening to our story. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. With love, Helen, Lucas, Mariana, and Little Hope.